With that, let's bring up our next speaker. You probably all know him well. It's Gresham Bouma. He is a local contractor and small-scale farmer. His background includes a bachelor's degree in accounting and a 2-year solar technology degree. More importantly, he has been a 2-time Idaho State Senate candidate. In his first primary, his team took out an 18-year incumbent who was really great at derailing conservative legislation, which was followed by 2 close losses in the general election. He is currently 2nd District Chair of the Idaho Republican Liberty Caucus, as well as the Treasurer of the Idaho Republican Liberty Caucus of Latah County. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Gresham Bouma.
There was a famous politician who said the following: "This year will go down in history. For the first time, a civilized nation has full gun registration. Our streets will be safer, our police more efficient, and the world will follow our lead into the future." The name of that politician was Adolf Hitler. The year was 1935, and he was speaking of the Weapons Act of Nazi Germany. Unfortunately, much of the world has followed his lead. Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you today about this crucial topic. You know, a year before the signing of the Declaration of Independence, as Larry told us about, war broke out on April 19th. I love his stories. The truth is, though, as he mentioned, the fighting started over guns and ammo. If it weren't for that conflict, the Declaration may have never been written. Current history texts want to convince us it was all about taxes. But what really started the war was the right to keep and bear arms. We were British citizens, and our own central government didn't trust us with the arms. And we decided we couldn't trust them with disarming us. I believe that's what led, in good part, to the formation of this country. Today is eerily similar. With Homeland Security buying ammo by the billions, the effect on the ammo market is to make supply tight or even non-existent in some cases. Prices are driven high enough so that we can hardly afford it. The hollow point ammo they purchased, ordered by Homeland Security, as most of you know, is not practice ammo. It is rather the premium rounds designed to stop a human being in his tracks. It begs the question, why would our domestic federal agencies need more than 5 rounds of ammo for every man, woman, and child in America? Well, 1.6 billion rounds is a lot of ammo. But I would guess that the members of the American public have bought even more than that. It looks a lot like there are 2 parties preparing for the potential of armed conflict. And yet, it is politics as usual for most of our leaders. I don't know about you, but I find that shocking. Their casual ignorance and indifference to current events and history is inexcusable. I'd like to read some quotes from some of history's more well-known secular thinkers. The first is another one by Adolf Hitler. The most foolish mistake we could possibly make would be to allow the subject races to possess arms. History shows that all conquerors who have allowed their subject races to carry arms have prepared their own downfall by doing so. Notice the word conquerors there. You disarm people you conquer. Joseph Stalin said, "We don't let them have ideas. Why would we let them have guns?" Lenin said, "One man with a gun can control 100 without." And Mao Zedong said, "All political power comes from the barrel of a gun." As those quotes imply, you always disarm your enemies. And you generally try to make sure your friends are armed. Given that principle, it looks like this administration considers terrorists in North Africa and the Middle East their friends, and I guess we must be the enemy. Look, it's time to stop playing games with this issue. Locally, our city council wrote a letter in favor of universal gun registration. It's one of the most insidious ideas being promoted by the left and by traitors to our freedom on the right as well. We all know that registration is preparation for confiscation. And anyone that wants to disarm me is no friend of mine. I'm tired of this politics as usual that always trots out fiscal conservatism as a ground to defend. If that is all we're willing to do now, we are giving up the all-important moral and philosophical principles of limited government. One of the most telling remarks Obama ever made when he commented on Americans, he said they were still clinging to their guns and Bibles. Well, there's more than a casual relationship between the two. When our founding fathers made their moral and legal arguments for life, liberty, and property rights in our great Declaration of Independence, they were arguing concepts already part of the English common law system, itself built on the Old Testament law. And Christian Englishmen dating back to the Magna Carta had been making those same arguments for limitations on the power of government, and for centuries they had been paying the price with their lives. Liberty didn't spring up out of nowhere in history. It has hundreds of years of history before it began here in America. Either we have God-given, universal, unalienable rights, or, as our college texts now teach, your rights come from politicians, and they will come and go with the eddies of the latest breeze. Good luck with that. I'd like to point out the beauty of universal rights. The most important implication is that everyone has the same rights. It's up to you what you do with them. It's essentially a merit-based system, blind to all else, providing equal opportunity to all, not equal outcomes. I believe all this and I love all it, and I'm in profound disagreement with those in my own party who simply want to help manage the destruction of our liberties. I think it's time to realize that liberty is dying a death by 1,000 cuts. While the left carries out its full frontal attack on the Second Amendment, it's also infringing on it in countless ways. A hidden tax here, another form to fill out there, another veteran diagnosed unfit to keep his arms, another law, another fee, another big spending lobbyist in Boise greasing the wheels of, well, say maybe the state healthcare exchange legislation. So far I've been blaming someone else, but you know what? You get the government you're willing to tolerate. If you ignore it, it will keep taking till there's nothing left for it to take. Freedom comes with stewardship responsibilities, and we've shirked them for too long. You have to show up if you want to win, and if you don't show up, you can't complain about what they do to you. Maybe some of this sounds unpatriotic to some of you, but I have to ask you, what has virtually every one of us pledged allegiance to? We don't pledge allegiance to a dictator, a president, or even a government. We pledge allegiance to a republic defined by a constitution. That leaves us a moral imperative to defend that same beleaguered, assaulted, and tattered constitution. Liberty is a rare jewel that seldom shows up in history. It was given to us, you and me, to care for, and we've not watched it closely enough. We've not loved it enough to understand it. We don't know its history and therefore its essence anymore. And while we were busy with life, it has been stolen. We, however, still hold official title to it. You find that title in our founding documents. So what now? First of all, I think we need to know who we are. How far will you yield ground? Would you let the federal government draft your daughters into the military? Will you yield to mandatory vaccinations? What if, like Europe, it becomes illegal to educate your own children? After all, as Stalin said, we don't let them have ideas. Several years ago, a homeschooling family from Germany was granted asylum here in the U.S. because Germany was going to confiscate their children for homeschooling. The Obama administration is canceling their asylum right now, trying to in court, and trying to send them back to Germany, asserting that no fundamental right to teach your own children exists in our country. Does the state get our children, or are they our responsibility? And how about this? Will you allow your government to disarm you? Yeah, you can answer that question. I think it's time to know your limits and know your friends, know who you can trust, and start opting out. Opt out of the state health care exchange. Don't give them all your information. Opt out of dependency and become more self-sufficient. Opt out of the increasingly state-controlled media. And opt into a group like the Palouse Liberty Project or the Idaho Republican Liberty Caucus. And above all, go back and drink from the same streams our founding fathers quenched their thirst from. Read John Locke on the role of government. Read Bastiat. And most importantly, crack open that book that Obama disdains as much as he disdains your guns. Understand that God-given rights are the flip side of the moral law, that good men will always resist tyrants, and remember that when one of the least of us loses any of his liberties, we all do. Thank you, and may the author of liberty, the Father of my Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on us.